My name is Madeleine Schupli. I'm the head of the Visual Arts Department at Pro Helvetia, and together with my team I'm responsible for the Swiss presence at the Venice Biennale. I'm here with Evelyn Steiner, and we're talking about the Salon Suisse, which will take place from the 10th time this year as a collateral event to the Swiss presence at the Venice Biennale of Architecture. The Salon is a debate format in the broadest sense and will be held in 3 weekends in September, October and November. So Evelyn, you have been selected to curate and conceive the Salon Suisse this year. Please present yourself.
My name is Evelyn Steiner. I'm an architect and art historian, and I've been working as a curator for architecture and design exhibitions for almost 10 years now. And I've had the chance to work at different institutions such as the German Architecture Museum in Frankfurt or the Basel Swiss Architecture Museum. Right now I'm holding the position as curator at the ZAT, the Zürcher Architekturzentrum.
You have been chosen to be the curator of this year's Salon Suisse in Venice, and for your program you have chosen the title Bodily Encounters. So why is this theme so topical, fundamental for you that you have chosen it to be on the basis of your program?
So there are so many reasons why I wanted to shed light on the relations between the body and architecture. Like, first of all, it's a topic that is very much accessible to everyone, not only architects or people working in the field of architecture. Everyone has a body. The first thing when we are born that we encounter are the bodies, our bodies or the bodies of other people. So I think everyone can kind of identify with this topic. And secondly, the body is essential when we talk about architecture. We perceive architecture with our bodies. The architecture has a massive impact on our emotions and on our well-beings. And also historically, architecture has essentially defined how we find proportions and symmetry in architecture. Also, architecture defines our identities and our biographies. And the third reason is there's been a kind of body turn or somatic turn in the humanities and social sciences, and I think it's high time that we debated all these timely questions related with the body also within the architectural discourse. For example, all the different movements such as feminism or disability movement, the geriatric movement, queer movement, but also like new medical procedures and biological procedures that enables us to kind of enhance our bodies, and we will all shed light on these topics during the Salon Suisse.
You worked on the Salon as a separate entity, but there is also the big international exhibition in Venice curated by Hashim Sarkis, and he works on the theme How We Will Live Together. So there seems to be some similarity to the topic that you had chosen, this how our bodies, how we as people intervene with architecture, with our environment. So where do you see maybe that your topic overlaps also with Hashim Sarkis' concept, or do you see also differences on how you approached it?
So I think there are so many parallels between Hashim Sarkis' Biennale and the Salon Suisse. For example, his first chapter, Designing for New Bodies. I'm also very much interested in how kind of altered bodies or enhanced bodies react to architecture, how architecture has to react to transhumanists or cyborgs, for example. And during the November Salon, I will also speak about how transhumanists challenge architecture. For example, what if we could switch off our ears during night? So building in compliance with building regulations or climatic regulations would all of a sudden become totally obsolete. I think what I'm less interested is how we live with other beings, for example, fungi, bees or birds. I think this is a chapter that Hashim Sarkis has also integrated in his exhibition.
And you let him work on this field, you focus on something else.
I would love to focus also on that aspect, but there are not as many weekends as I would wish.
Yes, so digging a bit deeper into the program that we have ahead. You have these 3 Salon weekends at Palazzo Trevisan that you conceived. You invited a whole range of international as well as Swiss guests from different fields, so from architecture, from artistic fields, researchers, and so on. So you plan to explore the theme of people and their relationship to architecture with classical panels, but there are also, you have planned artistic intervention, film presentations, excursions to the lagoon, even visits of private spaces in Venice. So that all sounds really exciting. Maybe you can just mention some highlights of what is coming up.
So I think there are so many interesting events and performances coming up. I will just give you a little sneak peek. For example, the September Salon is called Kindred Spirits, and we will shed light on architecture that kinds of enters in a dialogue with us on like an animated architecture with its own soul. And there will be the discussion about how haunted houses kind of inspire us also in reality. I will invite artist Dora Budor, among others. And I very much like her artistic approach, because she likes to create exhibitions that kind of deal with the soul of architecture. She's interested in this kind of neo-animistic side of architecture, and she always creates kind of echo chambers in her shows. So that's one of the most important evenings. And the October Salon, it's called Realities. We will shed light on how architecture also constructs our daily habits and our realities. And there we will have a discussion with Greek architectural historian based in New York, Lydia Kallipoliti. And I will talk with her about her book, Closed Worlds. So we will talk about how these kind of bubble architecture, spaceship or monk cells become relevant again in times of pandemic. And we'll also talk about the kind of new proxemic shift, how we change, or we have to constantly change and adapt our interpersonal space within this pandemic. And in November, the topic will be alterations. So we will speak about modified bodies, also in terms of kind of aging bodies. So I invited Irene Sanui. She's a curator at Yale University, and she recently organized an exhibition about the enigmatic couple Arakawa and Madeline Chins. They designed architecture with the aim that the inhabitants could live forever, like kind of anti-aging architecture. And we will have a look at the film Children Who Won't Die, and we will have a discussion with the curator Irene Sanui. And maybe to add, of course, there will also be performances, like you mentioned. In November, for example, we invited David Christel Sanui. This is a production we organized together with the Istituto Svizzero, with Gioia Damolin. And the artist, she's very much interested in the history of buildings and places and how they interact with our bodies. So she will concentrate on Venice and Palazzo Trevisan.
Wonderful. Speaking about performances, the start of the Pavillon Suisse is, the Salon Suisse is coming up on the 23rd of September. There will be the first day of the program, and it will start with the performance on the Campo in front of the Palazzo Trevisan. So tell us just shortly a bit about this performance. What is expecting the audience for this starting of the Salon Suisse program?
So this opening performance is called Pasticcio Corporis, and it's like a poetic prelude to all the topics we will discuss at the Salon Suisse. It's basically a triptych of human beings, music and architecture, and there will be 3 wooden sculptures that are being moved on wheels, and with a motor inside, and they will be moved by remote controls, so they kind of interact with the audience that is there at the Campo Santo Agnese. And there will be an opera aria, and the singer, he will sing different fragments from architectural theory and history about the relations between architecture and the body that I picked in recent months. And yeah, I think it will be a very exciting moment and a very interesting start for the Salon Suisse bodily encounters.
In the Swiss pavilion in the Giardini, there we see currently the exhibition Experiences on the Border, and Munir Ayoub and Vanessa Lakai, two of this interdisciplinary team, will be also hosted by you during the Salon Suisse. So they, in their project, they focus on the theme of the border. And how do you see here maybe an interest or closeness between you two research and you two focuses of your program, as well as the project of Munir, Vanessa and their team in the pavilion?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very much intrigued by their interdisciplinary approach. So I think it's not that common that two architects, a filmmaker and an artist is working on geopolitical and anthropological topics. So I think this interdisciplinary approach is something I'd like to pursue also within the Salon Suisse. And secondly, I think they made a very interesting research how we perceive the border, how it impacts our biographies and our personalities. So this is again very much related to the body. And I think it's very interesting that they say the border is not just a thin line on a map, but it's also kind of body itself that interacts with our own bodies. So I think we have a lot of parallels in our events.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would like to invite everybody to join the Salon Suisse this year. It will start on the 23rd of September, and you find all the details on this exciting program on biennials.ch.